Hey guys, MEP Guy here, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how to create all of this sanitary piping for this fitness center inside of Revit. Now before I start drawing any sanitary piping, I'm going to go ahead and set the routing preferences and add all the fittings that I need for the project. Now I've already created this template file that you can get at mepguy.com, and I'm just going to paste it into this project. But before I do, all I have to do is delete the original PVC type pipe, and now it's gone from the project. So I'm going to grab this one that already has the routing preferences. I'm going to copy it to the clipboard, and we're just going to paste this one in, and you can see it's not there right now, but when we paste it in, just like here, now we have this PVC pipe with all the routing preferences and all the little fittings that we're going to need for this project. So I'm just going to delete it, and now I'm good to go to start drawing my piping. So I can exit out of this project, and let's start drawing our piping. So we're just going to use a keyboard shortcut here, and I'm going to start with some PVC pipe. We're going to draw it at -2, and I'm going to start with a 4-inch piece. We're going to draw it from this water service area right here, and I'm just going to bring it to right here, and then my main's going to exit the building over here. So let's actually get started on these little showers right here. Now there's many ways to route sanitary piping. One way I could do this is I could start from my main and then connect into the branch. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to create similar here. And what you want to do is create similar is because it will start it at the same elevation of whatever you click on. So let's start drawing our pipe from here. And maybe we'll just do something like this for now. And we can easily click on it and move it into place if we need to. And then I can actually click on this shower fixture right here. And what I want to use is maybe the connect into command. So I'm going to connect into, and we're going to use this sanitary facing down. That looks good. We'll click on our pipe. And as you can see, Revit automatically draws the piping up to this and connects it into here. Now, this is actually not the way I want to draw this. I want to 45 it in. So I can easily just delete this piece right here, drag this over to 45 degrees, and then we can trim these together just like this. Now I don't need a 4-inch piece of pipe right here, so I can easily reduce this all to 2-inch maybe. So I'll just tab into all of it, and we'll select 2 inches here, and that looks much better. Now the rest of the little showers I can use the connect into as well. So I'm going to use the connect into. We're going to select the sanitary. I'm going to click on this piece. And right now the routing preference is set to anything that's 2 inches to use this sanitary tee, but we actually want to change those to a combo, so I can just literally click on them and change them to a combination fitting right here, and that makes my life a little easier. Now I can also do this from a 3D view, so if I click on my custom shower fixture, I can use connect into here as well. I can select that sanitary connector and just select my pipe, and I'm done. And I need to change this connector, but I'm going to actually do it again for this one. Now I want to align this pipe to the connector over here. And so what I can do is I can use my align button, and you can see as I hover into this, this is the actual connector. I can click on that point and then click the center line here and align it. We can delete this guy, and now we can connect into, or I can just literally just drag this up to this connection point, and my connection gets made right here. For the last one, we'll just tee into this. We'll use our trim extend, and we need to change these fittings to combo fittings. So let me do that real quick. And that is actually looking pretty good. So we can always just move our piping maybe to something like this. That looks a little better and cleaner. And we've essentially finished our showers. You'll notice that these don't have P-traps, so I'm going to need to add those in. I can do it from a 3D view pretty easily. So I can just select all of these elbows right here, just like that. Deselect this guy, and we can change the elbow to a P-trap. And this is the MEP Guy P-trap, so it works pretty nicely. And the nice thing about this P-trap, which you guys can get at mepguy.com, is when I change this to a medium level of detail, you can see my little P-trap symbol shows up perfectly, and that's pretty much what I want. So I'm going to change it back to coarse, or sorry, fine. And let's continue the project. So the next thing I might want to do is I might want to connect these urinals and water closets. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to just zoom into these so you guys can see them really easily. Maybe we'll do it from behind. So I'm going to select one of the fixtures right here. We'll hold shift, and I'm just going to go from this view right here. And we can do this from a 3D view or a 2D. It doesn't really matter. I'll click on this fixture right here, and we can literally just start drawing pipe by right clicking, and we'll draw it into the wall to about right here. And I'm going to bring it down over here, and then we'll go below the floor to -2. And then we'll just connect it into this main right here. just like that. Now, it was not using the correct pipe type. It was not using PVC. So if you ever need to change your pipe type, it's actually pretty easy to do. All you have to do is tab into the whole run of piping, just like that. And now I'm just going to change the type by going to change type, and we'll select PVC here, and it will use the correct fittings. And you can see this changed to a little combo fitting. Now I'm already noticing I don't need two pipes right here. I can literally just go right into this pipe. So I'm just going to delete this guy right here, and we're just going to hit this minus button, and I'm just going to tee this guy into this one. So we're going to use our trim extend and trim these together just like that. We'll create a combo fitting right here, just like this. And that looks pretty good. And so now I need to connect these water closets and urinals. I can also do it from a 3D view, so we can use the connect into command if we want. So we can use connect into, select the sanitary connector right there, and we'll just select our pipe, and it will automatically draw that. We can do it the old-fashioned way and just click on our fixture, right click, draw pipe, and we can just click it right into that. Now, for some reason, it's not drawing with the right pipe type. So next time before we go to draw pipe, we just need to make sure that we select PVC right here, and when we connect that, that guy will work. But again, we can just change this pipe type, so we'll just select these right here, change type, and I'll just change it to a PVC type. And then let's just double check to make sure that all these are PVC, so we'll just filter out the pipe fittings, and you can see everything that has been selected is PVC. So these are just things you need to pay attention to when you're working in Revit. Now, I go over all of this kind of stuff in a way slower pace in my course, Plumbing 101, but I'm just trying to do this as fast as I can for you guys. So the last thing we'll do is we're going to connect these urinals up a little bit. And so I'm going to use the straight connector right here. We could try connect into, and hopefully we have enough room here. So I'm going to select the sanitary connector right here that's going straight out, and we can just click on our piece of pipe, and you can see Revit will drop it down. That does look like it's on the sanitary setting, so that's good. We could also start from the main if we're trying to draw pipe, so we can right click and create similar. And then I want to change the size to 2 inches. And as we hover in on the pipe, you can see it highlights this fixture. And when we highlight right at the connector, it will highlight, and then I can select the right connector right here. There's a bunch of connectors on this fixture, so it's not really knowing which one we want to use. So we just have to be cognizant of how we do this. Now that I'm thinking about it, we actually need to make sure the piping is straight here and then go straight down. So we don't want to start at the pipe right here. We actually want to start at the fixture. So I'm going to right click here, and I'll do this in a 3D view. We'll draw a pipe. I'm going to hold shift, and then I'm just going to draw it to a point about right here. And then we can simply drag this into this piece, just like this. And when we drag it, you can see it will highlight, or it will use that square. And then when we, sorry, let me try that again. When we move it, we can actually remove it, and then you can see it will highlight that piece of pipe, and it'll make that connection right here. Again, we need to make sure we're using PVC pipe. So I'm going to try that again. Control Z, change this to PVC, and then we need to make sure we drop it in. So these are little things are kind of a pain, but you guys have to be cognizant of them as you're modeling inside of Revit. Now, don't worry, I am going to do all the vent piping at the end. I like to wait to the end for all my vent piping because it makes my workflow a little easier. So the next thing we might want to do is we might want to connect up these water closets. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of them. And this time I'll use the automatic routing. So we'll go up to piping system right here. We'll select sanitary. And now that it's a system, we'll generate a layout. And I'm going to go ahead and place the base so it knows which way to route these. I think I'm going to route them to the right. So let's go to place base, and we're going to put this over here. And we can kind of see this in a 3D view. We need to make sure we set our diameter to 4 inches. That looks good. And we'll go to solutions, and we're going to go through these solutions right here. And that one looks pretty good, so we can use that. So we can finish the layout. And unfortunately, it created that on that standard piping type, so we have to use the change type command and use PVC. And sometimes the automatic routing doesn't make the fixtures the correct way, so if you ever need to flip them, you actually have to hit the flip button, which is not too hard to do. So we'll flip all of these, and that looks pretty good. We can continue drawing these. We need to probably put a clean out right here, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a little clean out, and we're just going to tab into this wall over here. I'm unable to tab into it, so I'm just going to extend it to here, and we can use the align command to align it here, and then we can cap open ends to create a little pipe cap. So that looks good for our clean out. So let's do the same thing over here. We're just going to hit plus. We're going to draw a pipe, and we'll draw it over to here. And again, I'd love to be able to just be right at that wall, but you can see I missed it a little bit, but then we can just cap the open end right there. So that looks pretty good for that. So we need to make sure we connect to our main. So right now we're literally, we have this little sliver of piping right here. We need to extend that. So I'm just going to extend it to right there. And then we can draw from the main so it makes that connection up. So maybe we can create similar. And you can see as we hover in, it will automatically detect where that needs to be right there. And then we can use our trim command and just trim this to this. That looks good. And we need to make sure we flip this fitting as well. You can do it from a 3D view, and we're all done with that. So the next thing we might want to start modeling is the lavatories. So I'm going to do these a little differently. We're going to go ahead and click on the fixture, and I'm going to maybe draw this from a 3D view. I'll start from right here. We'll draw a pipe, and I'm going to drop it down to 1 foot 6. So I'm going to use 1 space 6, and I'm going to go into the wall this way right here. We'll click, and then I want to drop it down to -2. So we'll use -2 right here, and then we're going to go off in this direction right here. And now I can use my trim extend command, and we can trim that into there. Again, we need to make sure we're using the right type of piping. So we just tab into all of this piping, change the type PVC, just like that. And that looks pretty good. And now we can go to the floor plan and just kind of nudge this up into the wall, just like that. And now we can do this a couple different ways. We could maybe start drawing from back behind the wall first and go into that fixture. So maybe I'll try that first. I want to draw this piece right here, so we'll create similar, and I'm just going to start drawing it. I want to be at this midpoint right here, but we can always align it later, and we'll snap into this point, and then we'll go up to this midpoint right here, and it makes that connection for us. Let me show you guys from behind, and then maybe we'll move this down to, let's say, 1 foot. So I'm just going to type in 1 up here, hit enter, and that brings it down so we can make that connection. And now from the other side, we can maybe start from the fixture this time. So let's go ahead and start from the fixture. We'll draw a pipe, but then we have to drop it down to 1 foot 6, or maybe just 1 foot. And Revit should automatically align to that one and to that one. And that looks good right there. And then we can use the align command and just align these together, just like that. Now let's see if we can trim this into here. So we'll just use our trim command. And we don't have enough room, so we actually have to bring both of these pieces down a little bit. So I'm going to bring it down to maybe 6 inches. And now let's try to trim these together. And you can see it made that T. Now if I click this and I click this plus button, it makes a double T for me, and then I can make that connection right here. So this looks good. I could always bring this up if I want to. Well, I can't really do it from that view, but sometimes you can go to like a right view right here and zoom in, and then I can go ahead and bring that up to that point right there. That looks a little better. I'm going to select my point right here, and then we'll go back to that view. And since I select it, it goes back to the center right here. So that looks pretty good. Now we can actually use this piping to copy over. Now I'm going to put a vent piping right here. So I'm going to actually start this. So that vent piping is going to go up right here. So that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and tab into all of these pieces right here. Now here's the trick. If you click on one piece and then tab from this point, hold control, you can select all those pieces right here. Then I can use this and tab to here, hold control, and I'll do it one last time. And I'm going to tab from this point, hold control, and again, we'll just hold control and select those pieces. So that's how we got all that piping. I probably could have just used a regular selection, but I wanted to show you guys that. So it's a little trick. So now that we have this piping selected, we can actually just copy this over. So I'm going to use the copy command right here, and we'll go from, oops. Sometimes when it deselects like that, you can just go right click, select previous, and it'll come back. Use the copy command from the floor plan. We're going to copy from the midpoint here and zoom in, and we'll copy to the midpoint there. And that looks good. But now we have to make sure that we make those connections, because the connections are not made. So all we have to do is kind of drag the piping up just like that. When you see that little symbol, that looks good. See that symbol, that looks good. And then see that symbol again, That looks good. And so now these are actually connected. We can also check by tabbing into the pieces, and you can see they all get selected just like that. So that means the connections are made. If you ever want to check this, you can also go up to Analyze, Show Disconnects, and then click on Pipe. And you can see any place that there's a disconnect, it will show up. It's basically showing up on all my connectors back here, but the one we actually care about is this connection right here, and you can see there is no little symbol right there. So I'm going to turn these off. Now we need to make sure that we trim this into here, so I'll use my shortcut and we'll trim that there. We need to flip this fitting, no problem, and that looks pretty good. So we're almost ready to do our vent piping, but I need to use the showers over here. Since I did the same thing right here with these showers, I can probably just copy those over, or maybe I can rotate them. So let's try to rotate it. So again, I can select this fixture or this fitting right here and then tab into all of these pieces. Or maybe I'll just tab into everything. Sorry, I'm just gonna use a crossing selection right here. Then I'm gonna filter out the plumbing fixtures, just like that. And now I only have the piping. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna copy these over and see if that works. Now we wanna copy from this point right here over to the drain on this fixture, so it should be right there. So that looks good, and they do look like they line up, so that is perfect. And then again, we need to make sure we connect those pieces. So if we show disconnects again, you can see that there is actually a disconnect right here, meaning that we need to connect those pieces up to the actual fixture. Now, if I select one of the shower heads right here, you're going to be able to see the connector. And it actually appears like the connector's over here, so we didn't actually make the correct move, so we need to redo that. So I'm going to move these over again. So I'm just going to tab into all of these pieces right here. We'll use our move command, and I'm going to zoom in, and it looks like we accidentally hit that point where we should have hit this point. And I still think we're not perfectly on the pipe, so we need to try that again. So I'm going to tab into all of these pieces right here again, and then I'm going to move again. And it looks like the point might be right here, and that does look like it matches up. Now we can go ahead and make that connection. You'll see the pipe right there, and boom, it's done. So we just have to do that with all these other pieces. I'm going to select one of these pipes and kind of rotate it so I can show you guys. And we need to just make that connection. And now my little disconnect symbol goes away. So it's always helpful to use the little disconnect warning when you're working with piping, and just make sure all your connections are getting made, and that looks much better. So we can turn these show disconnects off now. Now I could have just, started from the actual fixture itself, but I just, sometimes when you can copy something else from another part of your drawing, it makes your life a little easier. So now that we have these connected in, everything's looking good. Now that I see this a little bit, I'm gonna actually change the direction of the flow, and we're gonna actually modify this a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect this piece right here, and we're going to select all these pieces, and I'm going to rotate this piping right here, and we're going to do it about the midpoint. We'll go 45, and we're going to go to 90, and that actually copied that, so I don't want that. I want to make sure it only selects the pieces of pipe. So we'll try that again. We're going to rotate, and this time we're not going to copy, and we're going to change our little rotate axis to here. We're going to go from here to here. And again, we can make sure that the pipe is still connected by using our Show Disconnects button. And you can see it actually disconnected the piping, so we have to make sure that connection gets made again. So these are little things you have to make sure to always be checking in your model. And I go over some of the fundamentals in my course, Plumbing 101. But let's just continue on. Now I'm going to make that connection into this piece right here. So I'm going to back this out a little bit, and we'll use our trim extend command, and we'll trim those together. And we'll trim this to this. We'll flip the fitting, and then we'll select our combo fitting right here. And now we're essentially done. Once we flip these fittings right here, just like that. And for this one, we could go 45, or we could do it just like this. I'm actually going to use this kind of layout. I'm actually going to keep it like this, and I'm going to have my vent piping right here. And I can move this piping back a little bit so it's a little closer. And I like the way that looks. And then I'm going to go ahead and maybe I would put a clean out somewhere in this area, so I could literally select my pipe right here. I'm going to go to this floor plan, and I'm going to go draw a pipe, Maybe I'll go to 45, and maybe we'll put a clean out in this area right here, and we'll bring it up to 0, 0, hit apply, and then I'm gonna make sure I cap this. I'm gonna cap open ends. And the cool thing is this cap right here, I just created it in one of my other videos that you can check out. But when we go to a medium level of detail, I have this nice clean out symbol for a floor clean out. So let's change our detail level to fine again. And I could use the vent. I'm gonna put a circuit vent right here. So let's continue on. Now you could wet vent both of these bathrooms with one lavatory. So this is how you would do that. I could go this way, or I could wrap around. I think I like the idea of going this way because it gives me a little more space. So let's go ahead and start from this water closet right here. We can draw a pipe. We'll bring it down to -2. And I'm just gonna put it, well, we're gonna go 45 first, and then we're gonna go over this way, and we're gonna make a 90-degree turn this way. I'm actually gonna move this into this bathroom because I'm gonna put a clean out maybe under here, or I could just put the clean out right here. And then I can just use my connect into for the rest of these fixtures. And my lavatory right here is gonna serve as my wet vent for all these connections. So I'm gonna click on my lavatory. And this time I'm gonna use the connector in the back, the rear of the lavatory. So I'm gonna use connect into, and we're gonna select the connector that is in the back, that's going vertical, which is this one right here. Click OK, and then we're gonna click this piece of pipe, and you can see that sanitary connection gets made. Now, with this connector in the back, you're not gonna be able to draw a P-trap here, but honestly, a lot of times for our contract documents, we don't need to draw P-traps, they're assumed, but it's up to you guys. You can definitely draw it the other way. I actually could, use this technique and just back this off so it's not connected anymore. And then I could go ahead and use connect into from this point, hit OK, and then connect it in just like that. And you can see that this actually gets drawn correctly. I can back this down, put this at 1'6", just like that. And then I can change this fitting right here to my P-trap fitting. And that looks great. So you could do that, and I actually think that looks pretty good. So we'll keep with that, and then we're just going to tab into this piping right here, and we're just going to copy it just like we did the last time. So I'm going to copy it from this floor plan. We'll use our select previous, copy. We can do it from the midpoint right here, this fixture right there, and then we just need to make sure that the connection gets made. So we'll click on it. We'll use our shift command, and then we'll just make sure that connection gets made just like that. And if we're not sure, we can always analyze it and show disconnects for our pipe and make sure that connection did get made. It looks like it did, so that looks good. So we'll turn this back off. And we need to make sure we set up our piping for our vents that are coming next. So we'll click on the fixture or the fitting, and we'll just make a little T right here. We'll click on this one and change it to a T as well. There we go. And now we just need to connect this guy into this main right here. So we'll use connect into, and I'll use that sanitary connection point, click on our main, and then we'll use our trim command and click on this to this. That looks pretty good. Now we need to make sure we have a clean out because we're taking a 90-degree turn right here. Make sure that this is a long sweep bend right there. And then we'll put a clean out over here. So all I need to do is hit plus here, and we'll draw a pipe right here. And we'll just put a clean out right here, floor clean out. We'll hit 0, 0. And then I need to select it and cap the open ends with my clean out fitting. And again, if I change this to a medium level of detail, you can see the symbol for clean outs right there. Now this is a wet vent, and I'm not going to get into detail about why this is legal, but it is legal. And we can actually add some floor drains in here too. But we would need to be pretty strategic on where we place those floor drains, but I'm not going to get into that on this video. So we've essentially finished the sanitary piping layout for this fitness center, and this is actually the same model that I use inside my course, Plumbing 101, and I explain how to do all this in a much slower pace, and we actually create all the fixtures from scratch, so I show you guys how that works. And basically we just go over how to design a plumbing system inside of Revit, and we use all the techniques that I'm going over right here. So everything that I've done really comes from using these custom plumbing fixtures, and these custom plumbing fixtures are available at mepguy.com with the purchase of my course, so make sure you check those out. And in the next video I'm going to show you guys how to route the vent piping for this sanitary system.